Today we're shore diving one of my favourite beaches in South Devon, near Bigbury. We've walked down the beautiful coast path and the conditions look pretty awesome. Light cross-shore wind, visibility looks good, so fingers crossed we'll be able to get some seafood today. And whatever we catch today, my plan is to cook it in the sand, make a sand oven, dig a hole. I love cooking that way. Why is today a special dive for you?
It's my birthday dive.
What do you want to catch on your birthday?
I need that birthday lobster.
You want a lobster?
I need a birthday
It's
lobster.
out there, Toby.
I'm not going to fail this one. I have to have it.
It's out there somewhere.
We wasted no time in jumping in the water, and we were greeted with some absolutely epic conditions. Swimming out 100 metres or so, I can see the kelp from the surface, and that's where I want to start my lobster hunting. Before I even dive, I see a huge male spider crab chilling on the bottom.
Hey Toby, huge crab.
He scampers off into the kelp, but still an easy extraction, and I bring him to the surface.
Big one. He's angry. The more angry they are, the more bright vivid red they are, better eating they are.
Happy to have a giant spider crab in the bag, I continue on, searching for the real prize, the lobster. Diving down into the gullies, pulling myself along through the kelp, peering into every cave and crevice which might conceal a delicious lobster. The conditions couldn't be better for lobstering. Perfect visibility, no current, just gliding along. Before long I see some antennae sticking out of a small crevice in this rock. Using my hook, place it behind the lobster, steer him out of the crack, keep him away from darting back into the kelp.
He's probably in by a millimetre, but it's a bit borderline for me, so we'll let this one swim another day. See if we can find one a bit bigger.
To comply with regulations in Devon, a lobster must have a carapace length of 9 centimetres. But for me, I like them to be more like 10 centimetres. I do tend to let them swim for another day if they're quite close to the mark. So I continue on, searching in all the caves and crevices, and this spot has no shortage of them. In this deep gully here, there's a seam in the rock with a beautiful lobster just chilling out. I gently place my hook into the recess in the rock, placing the hook behind her tail, gently manoeuvring her out of the hole. And this lobster's well in size, but very reluctant to go in my foraging bag. As I swim on, the boulders start to thin out, and I start seeing bass from the surface. With a couple of these in the freezer, I decide to leave them to it. Instead, something else catches my eye.
We're drifting along. It's a bit less lobstery here now because there's fewer boulders. But one thing I have noticed, there's loads of clams. There's razors, cockles and shells. So that tells me out there must be a cockle bed with razors and stuff, which means it's probably a great place to look for flatties. So we might just push out, mix things up a bit, look for some flatfish quickly.
As soon as I hit the edge of this rocky reef here, where it meets the sand, I know I'm in for a good chance of finding some flatfish. I dive down, gliding a few meters above the bottom, cruising along looking for the outlines, looking for the shapes. But after several dives, all I see is a huge number of spider crabs breeding on the bottom. Interesting to see, but no fish.
Can't seem to find them, but there is a huge expanse of ground they could be on. So we're going to carry on with our lobster hunt. There's some rocks. We're going to go and have a look there. Right, what have you seen, Toby?
Seen a fat ass lobster.
Excuse me?
One big lobster.
You've seen a big lobster.
I have indeed.
This is your birthday lobster. This is your moment. Are you ready?
Come on.
Yeah, but you haven't got it yet.
No.
Don't count your lobsters before they are in the bag.
That's very true. That's
Okay,
very true.
are you ready?
Toby discovers an amazing lobster, but the problem is it has a massive cave to back into. As soon as Toby dives down, the lobster just scampers right to the back of this deep cave. Almost impossible to get to. All we can do is come back later and hope he comes near the entrance. Just round the corner, I discover a beautiful big lobster in a burrow in the rocks. Little did I know though, this was no ordinary lobster.
Quite interesting example of a lobster that cannot be landed. You can see on the tail here, it has what looks like a V-notch in the tail. And this is a female lobster, you can see from the really wide tail, and also the feathery swimmerets. So this has been V-notched by a responsible fisherman to basically signify she's a very good breeding lobster. And she's a very big girl, so she goes back.
After returning the big female lobster, Toby and I took turns to revisit his cave. And it just so happened that diving down, this big angry male lobster had come out and I had to seize the opportunity.
It might have been yours, but he'd come out suddenly.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to risk it.
No,
I'm sorry.
Get it.
Having been in the water for quite a few hours, we decided to call it a day and swim back. I decided to glide over the sand to see if any plates have come in. Just a few hours have made a massive difference. The sand is full of life. On this one dive here, I spot a place to my right, and then just ahead of me here is a beautiful gurnard. However, what you're about to see is complete chaos. Yep, my safety was on, the fish got up, I then missed, and beautiful, delicious gurnard, never to be seen again. Fortunately though, a couple of dives later I see a big fat place lying on the bottom, which kind of makes up for it.
fruit de mer of spring off the South Devon coastline in absolutely incredible conditions. Conditions we dream about actually. It was 10 to 15 meters visibility today, and but there is some sad news. Toby, pass that camera. Toby has to, well, it's not sad at all, it's his birthday, so he's off to meet his friends. Now, we were supposed to be back at the beach around 3 o'clock. Time is more like...
Yeah, it's about 7 o'clock now.
How was it today?
It was really good. The viz was incredible, so can't really go wrong. That's probably why we lost track of time. The viz was so good.
Yeah,
Didn't want to get out.
And the lobstering, you were so close.
So close. I saw about 3 or 4 and they weren't having it. They weren't having it. But oh well, we live and we learn.
Go and have some Guinness and
Yeah. Oh, we're having a few of them.
Happy birthday.
Cheers, man.
So I've decided to cook the plaice in the sand oven. I'm going to wrap it in tin foil and put it with some potatoes and herbs. First of all, this wood needs to burn down to kind of coals, and then I'll put the plaice in the foil packet with the vegetables on top of the coals. I'll bury that, and then I'll have a small fire going on top of it as well. So sand ovens, they're quite fuel intensive. You need a decent amount of wood, but the advantage of them is, you know, I've not had to carry any pans to the beach or any cook system. All I've got is some tin foil. And actually, you could do this with kelp. You could cover the coals with kelp, only I actually forgot to bring kelp coming in, and I have some foil in my little cool box, which is actually, I've just emptied it and put some seawater in to keep the lobster nice and fresh. And the spider crab, he won't fit, but he's got a nice damp cloth covered in seawater. Crustaceans absolutely hate drying out, and you know, last thing I want is them dying because they spoil very quickly. So that will keep them nice and fresh until I can get them home, put them in the fridge with a damp cloth on them, and then I always eat them within about 24 hours. But yeah, time to cook this plaice. Incidentally, measuring a spider crab, you measure from the back of the horns to the back of the carapace, and you can see on my measure here, this is the spider crab measurement from here to here. This is the scallop measurement here. So spider crab measurement, as you can see, this crab is in by about 5 centimeters. So I wouldn't need to measure it, but I'm just demonstrating. There we go. There's a really strange smell of sand getting really hot. It's hard to describe. It's quite acrid. You've got to bear in mind there's a lot of heat from the bottom up, but the top half of the fish, to get that cooked, really, a small fire on top of this now will speed the process up, and it will also keep me nice and warm. So, and it's an excuse to have a fire. So we'll light that fire, and then the fish should be ready within about half an hour. Oh yeah. I'm absolutely delighted with how well this has worked. I gave that, it's a good sized fish, I gave it half an hour. I probably could have given it a tiny bit less, but it's so lovely. And what a view to sit down to and enjoy. The sky's been through every red hue you can think of for the past 10 minutes. It is absolutely stunning here. It's just me and the sea and my place. Well, I hope you'll agree with me, I've done this fish justice. There's not really a great deal left there. I feel all the better for it. I cannot believe we were in the water for about 6 hours earlier. Maybe 7. I do not know how that happened, but certainly built up some hunger. I feel better for eating that place. Yeah, that was absolutely delicious. And really cool way to cook them. I think, you know, humans, for most of our history, we've been nomads, we've been traveling. We wouldn't have been able to carry, you know, kitchens around. This is how it would have always been done, using what's in nature. Dig a hole, light a fire. And if you reckon, if you'd like to see me do this with a crab or a lobster, give me a thumbs up, let me know. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in, and look forward to bringing you another video soon. Thanks so much.